Good morning. Welcome to Real Estate Radio Denver, the most important hour of radio every weekend. We're here Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. right here on News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your host, Tom Souther. Thank you so much for joining me. And as you know, Real Estate Radio Denver is dedicated to building Denver's housing marketplace. And we do that one home at a time. We hopefully do that with you. We work at giving you some great advice, helping you with some problems, maybe connecting you up with the correct professional that can help your situation. We've had a lot of weather-related issues lately, so we're going to have a little focus on that today and maybe give you some info that will help you if this happens again or with your situation currently. So, as always, I want to encourage you to interact with the show. You can do that with our off-air number. Leave us a message. We'd love to bring your question on for next week. That number is, again, 720-515-1818, 720-515-1818. I would love to put you together with that right professional. So within every market, there are solutions as well as just tremendous opportunities. You need some trusted advice, and that's what you'll hear here every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on News Talk 710 KNUS on Real Estate Radio Denver. I want to jump right in. We've got three great guests today, a little different than normal. Well, not all that different. I have an insurance professional. I have with me Ryan Mathisen, who is sales manager and an owner of Colorado Insurance. They're an independent agent, one of the largest, if not the largest independent agency in Colorado. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tom. I appreciate it.
Yeah, the largest?
Well, we like to think so. We do the most volume of business month to month.
Nice.
So, yeah, we like to stay active.
So you move a couple of policies, helping people out. You guys are probably a little stressed.
A little bit, but, nothing we can't handle. We're used to it, and we've been doing this a long time.
Awesome. I also want to introduce Tara King. Tara is a real estate agent, a realtor, I'm assuming.
Yes. And
she owns Tara King Properties. She's been in the business for quite some time. She wanted me to throw out that year. I don't know if she really did, but it was since 1992. Oh, my gosh. That's a while.
Ancient.
Yeah, well, I'm right there with you. Focus on the Denver Metro and maybe Southeast, that area. You also have some experience up in Summit County.
I do.
Which, if you're looking for a mountain property, maybe Tara could help you a little bit as well. Tara, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. And I also have a regular, Tracey Throop from Homestead Titles.
Good morning.
I can't remember the title we gave you last week. It was something like Queen of Title Sales or something like that. But yeah. Tracey's a regular contributor, and we're very happy to have you. And I always give you a chance to give you a homestead title update. You want to do that now?
Yeah, we'll do one real quick. Just wanted to let everyone know that Homestead is going to be donating to the Colorado flood. So we will be working with the Red Cross. And if
Send more buckets of water?
Yeah. No, we'll try to help unflood them.
Okay.
But anyway, if you'd like to donate, you can visit our website. There will be a link to the Red Cross, and we certainly hope that everyone will contribute to relieving those families that have been devastated by this flood. So,
how do they do that? What's the website?
They'll go to our website at www.homesteadT as in Tom, C as in cat.com, and they can donate there. tc.com. Thanks.
Very good. And again, if you need that information, please send me a text send me a text at 720-515-1818 and just text me flood and I'll send you that information on how to help donate via the Red Cross. Love to help these people out. There's an awful lot out there that are, no pun intended, but underwater. Yeah. And needing some help and still stranded. And, we want to help them as much as we can. So let's jump right in. Speaking of floods, that seems to be Ryan, the topic of interest for everybody.
Absolutely.
And what's your advice for people at this point?
Understandably so. Well, first and foremost, flood insurance is completely different from your homeowner's auto insurance. It's actually mandated by the government, so it's not something that the insurance companies actually mandate. They just provide through the government. We find a lot of people don't have flood insurance unless they live in a floodplain, which is, I think a lot of people are finding now that it's an important thing to at least look into. We always try to offer a flood quote when we're quoting home and auto, whether they live in a floodplain or not.
Sure. Well, and it's in Colorado. I've done mortgages here for a long time, and I can count on one hand the number of properties I've actually had that were in a designated flood zone and required flood insurance.
Absolutely.
So if someone was to add that to their normal policy, is that a big ticket item? If you're not in a floodplain, I'm assuming it's not.
That's the nice thing about it, is that really it's not a large expense to add to your homeowner's policy. You're looking at around $400 for the year. It's not a huge expense.
Sure.
I'm hoping that an event like this will bring a little bit of awareness to it. Kind of show people, hey, even if you don't live in a floodplain, floods can happen. They do happen. This event was a little bit out of the ordinary, but here we are. So it's definitely something that's affordable, and we try to offer it, to all of our clients, and it's something that is very valuable, as we can see.
So if you were, say, in Aurora or Boulder or Adams County or where have you, and your basement flooded and you have a regular homeowner's policy, is any of that covered?
Unfortunately, no. One of the two things that is not covered by a homeowner's policy, specifically flood caused by groundwater, rainwater. So that's specifically listed in a homeowner's policy, and that, like I said, is mandated by the government. So there's really not a lot we can do as insurers to kind of overcome that with a homeowner's policy.
So totally different than your water heater blows up.
Absolutely, yeah. And we get that question all the time. Yeah. Freezing pipes is completely different. That's something that has to do with the plumbing. That is completely covered under a homeowner's policy. So when we're talking about natural rainwater, groundwater, that is a flood, and that unfortunately is not covered under a homeowner's policy. That's something that we always bring to our clients' attention when we are selling policies, to make sure that they know. And like I said, we always give them the option for a flood quote, and I'm hoping now that we'll get more response from that, and people will, act on that and make sure that they're properly insured.
Absolutely.
And when you say groundwater, just to clarify, sprinkler systems, I've heard that's kind of...
We're gonna have to get back to that in just a minute. You're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver here on News Talk 710 KNUS. We're having a great discussion, hopefully giving you some great information on how this rainwater can affect you in an insurance situation. We're going to be right back, and we're going to have more of that, and we're going to answer Tracey's question. But don't go away. We're going to be right back with how does this affect you. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Denver. Thank you so much for listening here on News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your host, Tom Souther. I've got three guests with me. I want to just quickly reintroduce them, and I want to, again, encourage you, if you've got questions, if you want to get in contact with any of our guests, our off-air number 720-515-1818. I encourage you to throw a question up there or text me, and we will get back to you. I will get back to you, probably myself. If not one of my team, and we'll get those questions answered. And if you want to get together with one of the guests, I'd love to make that happen. I have with me Ryan Mathisen with Colorado Insurance. He's sales manager and owner, and expert on water.
Unfortunately, yes.
Right now.
Unfortunately, yes.
I also have Tara King, who owner of Tara King Properties, a real estate agent, and also a flood expert.
Well, I've had a few of my own, I'm sure.
Aren't we all right now?
Not necessarily this difficult.
Yeah. Well, this is, I think, a once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I have Tracey Throop with Homestead Title with us as well. And Tracey, we left last segment. You were asking a question about, a sprinkler system or some other outside, I'm assuming outside water issue other than rainfall or river flowing over what have you.
Yeah, just understanding your homeowner's policy in general before we even get into understanding a flood insurance policy, which I hear is pretty intense as well. So I just wanted to know sprinklers are covered if it flooded into the basement.
Homeowners policies are designed to cover that.
Okay.
So anything that's on the property is going to be covered when it's faulty. So that's what the homeowners policy is designed for. But yeah, it's just that specific rainwater, groundwater that we, like I said, we have no control over. The government has pretty much said, hey, that's going to be a separate policy, and you have to purchase that separately. So one important thing to note with flood insurance is you can only get up to $250,000 in dwelling coverage. They offer $100,000 in contents coverage. That's the most that you can get. So
if you have that $250,000 policy and your home washes away completely,
you're not going to be made whole again.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, does FEMA kick in too? I mean, how is that some of it too?
It's a good question. We've been hearing a lot of these areas that have been declared natural disasters that FEMA has stepped in. Again, they have made it pretty clear that they're not going to make people whole again, but they're going to do what they can. So these people aren't alone as far as FEMA's concerned, but with the two, if they do have a flood policy plus FEMA, I'm hoping that, we can make them as whole as possible.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know the statistics. How many homes were lost in this?
I heard it was around 1,100.
Okay.
Right. So and 19,000 damage.
That's a preliminary, yeah. Sure. Yeah, but total losses.
Sure, but if you have a flooded basement, if you had flood policy, 250,000 is quite a bit. Sure. If you haven't lost your structure.
Yeah, to be able to remediate, sure. Repair your contents. Now, something also to consider is pretty much half of the premium made up of a flood policy is the contents. So if it's something where you just feel necessary to cover the dwelling and you're okay with your contents not being covered, there is that option as well, and it really does cut the cost almost in half. So that's an option as well. There's plenty of options. So talk to your agent and have him give you all the options available. Deductibles are another option. We've got plenty of deductible options. Now, if your home isn't a floodplain and your lender requires flood insurance, check with your lender because a lot of them do have deductible requirements. But if you're not in a floodplain, there's plenty of deductible options as well that can bring that cost down for you. So.
And is the cap on the policy subject to change with the price of the house, with the value of the home?
Well, it's not based on the value of the home. We go off a price per square foot guideline.
Okay.
Because we're not covering the land. We're only covering the structure itself. So
in some cases, it may not be $250,000 if your home is under a certain square footage amount.
Exactly. I always kind of use the Boulder example, where we know properties are pretty expensive in Boulder, but half the value is the land. So we're just covering that structure. We're concerned with that structure on the property. So that would be a good instance where the value is not really corollary to the dwelling coverage.
So how do you feel that the floodplain maps will be changed? I mean, I think it's my opinion that, and certainly Boulder, I thought this was really interesting, is that in February of 2012, they actually submitted a mapping study to review their floodplains. And of course, now it's,
coming back.
Certainly on 18th, they voted unanimously to approve the floodplain mapping study.
Sure.
And so I think that, as we reevaluate the floodplains,
absolutely,
certainly more homes will fall into that 100-year and 500-year floodplain.
I definitely agree. They absolutely will. It is a long process, and it takes a while. So we won't see any immediate ramifications from what they're trying to do, but it will come about. I feel the same way. It's a long process to get that done.
How do you feel it will affect rates in the future?
Flood rate specifically? Mm-hmm. That's a good question. We'll kind of have to see. You can assume whenever we have a natural disaster like this that rates are going to go up. Same thing happened with the fires.
Right.
With the hail of 2009, homeowners saw rate increases across the board. So you can assume that flood rates are going to take a bit of a jump because of this. We'll have to see. We'll see over the next...
I think more homes are going to be subject to the floodplain in the future.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this was I don't know how long ago this...
100-year or 1,000 year? I've heard different...
This
has been a while since there's been anything of this magnitude.
Yeah,
This is crazy.
Unexpected, and I don't think people really plan for something like this, especially in Colorado. Now we know it's kind of an eye-opener for everybody to, hey, talk to your agent, make sure you're properly insured, make sure you have, the correct coverages in place just to protect your family. So,
well, I think low-lying areas have been identified.
Absolutely.
So, it's hard to say, but, water tends to go to the same place all the time.
Yep, absolutely. And, of course, if anybody has any questions, they can always call me. I'm always available to answer any questions you might have.
All right, since you've thrown that out, tell them what's the best way to get a hold of you, Ryan?
Absolutely. My office is in Greenwood Village. My phone number is 720-266-5302. You can also email me at ryan.mathisen, Mathisen, at buykoloradoinsurance.com. So that's the best way to get a hold of me.
And again, that's Ryan Mathisen, the sales manager owner of Colorado Insurance. So, great to have your help. You threw that hail word out there,
that 4-letter word
a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah.
And that's a good one, too. We've had some hail damage as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm assuming those calls are coming in.
Every summer we can expect it. I think the most important thing to to note about hail damage to your property is before you call your insurance company, call a licensed professional to come out and look at it. Your insurance agent should have a professional that they work with, that they trust, that they know is going to give an honest opinion of your property. But before you call the insurance company, call a contractor and let them come out and look at your roof. You call the insurance company first, it's going to show as a claim on your clue report, whether you file a claim or not. Whether they come out and they decide, hey, there's no damage, we don't need to file anything, it's still going to show up as a zero pay claim. That can hurt you in the long run. So you want to make sure that you have a licensed professional come out first, assess the damage. If they say, hey, I do see some damage, why don't we call the insurance company? Then you can go ahead with the process. But before then, make sure you have a contractor come out and look at the property first. That's important to note.
That's great advice, because I don't think I've had anyone tell me that before.
I've never heard that either.
We see it all the time.
Everybody would tend to call their insurance company first and get the advice. Okay, who do I call? What do I do?
Absolutely.
Don't know if there's damage.
Because they're just going to send their adjuster right out, and whether there's damage or not, it's going to show up on your clue report. And then if you go to reshop your insurance, some companies surcharge for that zero pay claim on your clue report.
And the clue report is
it's your history of claims, so it goes back 5 years. Some companies only go back 3. Now we have specific companies that don't surcharge for zero pay claims, but some do. So it's definitely something that you need to be aware of, and you need to have a good roofer in your Rolodex on your cell phone. It's good to have, especially in Colorado, and make sure it's someone you trust. I have a great roofer, so if someone needs a contact, definitely give me a call. I have someone that I trust that we've worked with for a long time.
Or a good insurance agent who can provide that with you. I mean, I don't have enough roof issues to necessarily keep a strong personal relationship with a roofer, but
I know a good insurance guy if you need one.
Yeah,
so.
I've heard there's one sitting in the room.
Absolutely.
And we would love to put you together with Ryan Mathisen. Please give us a call at 720-515-1818, 720-515-1818, or text, and I will put you together with Ryan. Love to do that. And there was hail. Mm-hmm. I heard stories. I was in Home Depot the other day, and I live in central Denver, and saw a little bit of hail, but this gentleman told me he had 4 inches. So
I think Aurora got the brunt of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the rain and the hail. They had a rough week last week.
And I'm assuming that's affecting auto claims as well?
A little bit. Again, talk to your agent. A lot of carriers that we represent, when you have your home and auto insurance bundled together, which of course we always recommend, a lot of our carriers have one deductible. So if you have a hail claim and an auto claim on the same incident, they're going to only charge you one deductible to fix both. So
really? Even though they're different policies?
Yep, absolutely. So as long as they're bundled together, just another benefit of having those policies together as opposed to separating them out.
Sure.
Stuff like that, yeah. And a lot of our carriers offer that, so we always make sure that our clients benefit from that, and that's something to ask your agent about.
Well, that's an interesting tip, too.
Absolutely.
And I'm assuming it's easier on the auto claims because you can kind of look at your car and see if it's dimpled.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty easy.
Without taking it over to the auto shop.
Pretty easy to tell if you have hail damage on your car.
Perfect.
So that's something that... and actually, I did want to mention, if you do have hail damage on your car, that's a comprehensive claim. A comprehensive claim is not chargeable on your policy. So if you do put in a comprehensive claim, you're not going to see the ramifications of a rate increase at renewal, which is nice to note. It's only those collision claims that really make you jump up. So, and
that's good to know.
Comprehensive is anytime you're not driving the vehicle.
So anytime somebody rams into you in your park, or does that fall into that too?
Hit and run, a tree falls on your car, anytime you're not physically driving the vehicle, that's a comprehensive claim.
Perfect. I always park under trees.
Well, that's good to know. See, that's stuff you don't really think
I know.
about. Yep. And Ryan is my insurance agent. So
there you go. There's a personal testimonial. And what kind of job did Ryan do for you as an insurance agent?
They do a great job. What I really like about Colorado Insurance is they actually they're a broker, but which I think is always great because they have 12 different, I don't know, he has to say that, but I don't know.
13 now, yeah.
13 different companies they represent. But what I like about them is they have their own internal customer service department, which I just think is awesome. And, they're there all the time for you. So just plug that away for you.
Thanks, Tracey.
Well,
testimonials.
It's true.
And that is rare to have that level of service within an agency. And I'm a big fan of independent insurance agents.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it versus captive agents that just work for one of those big companies. You just get a lot more options.
And the way to think about it is a captive agent is working for the insurance company. So your Farmers, USAA, Allstate, they're representing their company. They want to sell their products. I don't work for an insurance company. I work for my client. So I have 13 different A+ rated companies that I can, work with, but I don't work for them. I work for my client. So that's kind of the difference, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's been my experience with independent insurance agents. I definitely believe in that concept.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
absolutely. We are going to switch it up a little bit. I want to... we're going to move the discussion over more towards real estate because I want to get Tara King involved in this conversation a little bit more. But I want to thank you for listening to us here on Real Estate Radio Denver. I have with me Ryan Mathisen, the sales manager and owner of Colorado Insurance. It's been a great discussion on how does flood coverage work and who is and isn't covered. And that's an eye-opener that none of that water damage is potentially covered under your normal homeowners policy by external water. So that's big news to me, and I'm sure you've got a lot of customers who are fairly frustrated and
definitely a tough phone call to have. And when you see how inexpensive a flood policy really is, if you're not in a floodplain, it's something to definitely look into.
It's not even, I think, something that's on anybody's radar.
Sure.
But we're going to come right back with Tara King with Tara King Properties and Tracey Throop with Homestead. And Ryan's going to stick with us and throw in his 2 cents in about the real estate market as well. So come right back. Don't miss a minute. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Denver. I'm your host, Tom Souther, and I have a crew with me today. I've got 3 guests. I have Ryan Mathisen, sales manager, owner of Colorado Insurance. We've had a great discussion on flood and hail and all of this business that's been going on for the last couple of weeks, and some not great news in that discussion, but we're here about the truth, and that's what you hear on Real Estate Radio Denver. And the truth is, unfortunately, that some are not covered, and that's going to be hard, and it's going to be an expensive recovery. I wanted to throw in that FEMA piece, if we can, for a minute, because I know FEMA has identified Boulder, Adams, Weld, and some of the El Paso counties as federal disaster areas. Larimer, okay, I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
And I assume they're going to give them a little bit of help as well.
That's what they're saying. Yeah.
Hopefully, people will be fairly whole, but I think a lot more people are kind of on their own on this than hoped.
I think it's going to be a long process. So anything we can do to help,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
I also have with me Tara King with Tara King Properties. She is a Metro Denver real estate expert in Southeast Metro. Is kind of her focus. Not that she won't go elsewhere. Done a little Summit County work back in the day, and we wanted to talk about where the market's going. And I also have with us Tracey Throop with Homestead Title. So Tara, the market here in Denver is so different than so much of the rest of the country. We failed early. We have recovered reasonably strong, and that's ongoing. Rates have gone up a little bit, which I think has slowed some of the buying frenzy a hair. But you've got stats. So give us your take on,
I do, and I agree.
On really where that market's going.
Well, I think, we're definitely seeing recovery. We had some difficult times, obviously, in the marketplace, but I think overall the Denver market is significantly healthier than it was last time at this time last year. And 20% more homes closed in August of 2013 than August of 2012. We've had a fairly low supply of inventory, so the market was extremely active in the summer months. A lot of bidding wars going on, which was something we haven't seen since probably the 90s in Denver. Yeah,
and some of that was crazy anecdotally. 6, 8, 10 offers on properties the first weekend, and
that was definitely happening this summer.
Yeah, and my prediction and I think this has played out was, you're still going to see a lot of demand, but maybe you're down to a couple of offers versus 7 or 8
Right.
pretty
Well,
quickly. Is that kind of what's happening, what you see?
I do think that we're, moving away from the bidding
The
wars.
multi-offer
The multi-offers, depending on the property. There's still going to be those properties that are in high demand in certain areas.
Can we stay there for a minute? What do you think those are? Is there a price range that you think is really going to remain super hot?
I do. I think in the probably 300 to 400 price range, the market is extremely competitive.
Sure.
in certain areas, and we're seeing still a little bit of that bidding war. People are offering above sales price. I know personally, I have written a few contracts where I've put in an escalation clause, which would mean that if my buyer was competing against other bona fide offers, that we would offer a certain escalation to compete with that offer up to a certain point. And, that certainly helped, but, Frascona would say that's a little bit of trouble as well, because how do you identify a bona fide offer, and, how
Sure.
do you clarify that with both your buyer and seller in the market?
Right.
But I do believe that the inventory has risen. In August, we only had about a 2-month supply of inventory. I checked the stats yesterday, and it looks like in September we're getting closer to 4 or 5 months. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out at the end of September.
Sure.
To see what our inventory is.
And I don't want to give anyone that false impression that a home in the peak of the market, and I think I would include in that anything under that 300 and 400 range as well. That's priced right, because first time home buyers, particularly if you're looking under 200, you're struggling to find that property. And I don't want to give people the impression that those properties are going to be on the market for 3 or 4 months.
No.
If they're priced right, if they're in decent shape, if they're a desirable property, they're still selling in that first week.
Well, overall,
Would you
year,
agree?
yes,
Yeah.
from last year, we're down to about 36 days on the market now. And that's long. I mean, I'm seeing things that if I'm not there within 24 hours, the property is under
and that days on market is including days once they're under contract to close, correct? Or is that not correct?
No,
That's
it's
just
only
to signing
until
a
it goes
contract.
under contract.
Okay, good. So that's telling us more inventory is out there. Is that? Do you think people are listing more? They're putting their homes on the market more than they were a year ago?
Well, I think that because the supply of inventory has been so low, it's become a seller's market. So
Sure.
I think that sellers are more astute, that they have less competition. And I would say if you're thinking of selling your home, now is certainly the time, because I really believe that home sales will remain unseasonably strong in the fall and winter months. I mean, that's what the predictions are. And for Colorado, that's not necessarily traditionally been the case, but because of the low inventory, spurred by the hot summer, buying season, it should continue to provide buyers and sellers with more prolonged opportunities late into the year.
Sure, and I think that Denver is a desirable place. It's one of several in the country that people are moving to regularly. So that demand, I don't think, is diminishing at all or going to decline just because of that. There are so many people who are coming here, leaving places that are less desirable, coming here because we are such a wonderful place. And I think that drives that demand and keeps us in a fairly hot market through what's normally a slower time.
Right. And I think if you'll look at just, the businesses that are moving into Denver, I mean, we have some major corporations who are planning, relocation or building big facilities and bringing a lot of relocation buyers in. So, and those traditionally relocation buyers are really good for our January December sales season as well.
You bet. I just don't see that declining. The other thing that I think has happened over the last year is just with that increased demand, those values are going up, and people are realizing, hey, I can sell my house. Maybe I was maybe I was underwater, no pun intended here this week, but maybe I owed more than that home was really worth at one time, or it was closer. It didn't make sense to sell because I might have to show up with a check. Those homes are now getting a higher value in the marketplace, and they're able to sell.
That's right.
Where they maybe weren't a year and a half ago, particularly in some of the harder hit areas, Aurora. The non-Boulder. And Denver's...
You mean little San Francisco?
Yeah, and Denver's, I love my Boulder neighbors, but Denver's held itself pretty well in values. Not a huge decline, but those areas that did take a hit, I think, have come back nicely. So if you live in those areas, you'd be surprised at what that value is. And, here I'm going to throw out an offer for Tara. We didn't talk about this, but she's going to like this. maybe not.
This is going to be good.
But I maybe you're in Aurora or you're in Denver or wherever, and you're concerned about what that value is for your home. Can you sell? Can you do a refi? I don't know. There's lots of different things that what your home is worth, that value in the marketplace. So I want to offer you, if you're concerned about that and thinking, maybe I can get a value, text me the word value to 720-515-1818, and we'll get together and get a value estimate for you. We'll get you in touch with Tara, or have my office do it. But anyway, I want to offer that to you, and I'm going to remind you that again when we come back. But you're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver on News Talk 710 KNUS. Come on right back. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Denver. I have several guests with me again today. I just want to reintroduce those. And I have with me Tara King, who is the owner of Tara King Properties. Tara is a real estate agent and focuses in that Denver metro marketplace. And a lot of work on the southeast side, but, she's an expert throughout the metro area. We were talking last segment about just offering you a value for your home, because we're a little concerned. And Tara, you're okay with this. I'm going to throw this out as a freebie.
Perfectly fine with it.
Because I know you're concerned about what the value of your home is. There's been so much misinformation about how horrible the marketplace is. So I just want to offer that if you'd like to get a feel for where your home is, if you've been thinking about selling or maybe buying or upgrading or whatever, or maybe you're doing a refi, that's fine too. We can talk about that. And you don't know if that value's there for your home. Those sites like Zillow, Tara, they're not very good as far as value. It's a big, wild guess.
It is. I think that a lot of sellers and buyers go to Zillow and Trulia and those types of sites to, try to come up with the value of their home. And what they don't understand is that the information is so stale in some of those sites, and it doesn't take into account things like the number of foreclosures in your neighborhood, the number of bank sales that they have been, and the number of individual sales.
Right.
Overall, when an appraiser is looking at it, or when I'm looking at a home, those are the things that I consider, and I'm using real-time data. According to RealTrack, 40% of all homeowners have at least 20% more equity than they did last year at this time. So,
yeah.
I think that in order to really assess the true value of your home, you need to have a real estate professional come in and look at the real-time data and present it to you that way.
So here's the offer. Just text the word value to our off-air number, 720-515-1818, 720-515-1818, and I will have Tara get a hold of you, or I will do that, and we'll put together a value estimate for you. You'll know really where you sit in the marketplace. And then you can make an intelligent decision. Is it time to sell? Is it time to upgrade? Is it time to refinance? Whatever that is that you want to do, we can help you with that. And one of those first steps is getting a realistic estimate of what that value is. And my faith in many of these online sites, and I don't want to throw any of them specifically under the bus, is it's a wild stab. And sometimes it's very, very low, and occasionally it's high, and it's almost never right on the mark.
And old.
And old.
I mean, that's...
So text the word value, again, to 515 720-515-1818, 720-515-1818, and I'll put you together with Tara, and we'll make that happen. I've also have with me still Ryan Mathisen, owner and sales manager with Colorado Insurance. Ryan, welcome back.
Thank you.
And I have Tracey Throop with Homestead Title, regular contributor, and Homestead's a fantastic partner for the show. I can't even begin to tell you how great a job they do on real estate transactions, whether that's a refinance or a home purchase.
And I can also give Tracey a testament because we've worked with her for 2 years now?
Yeah, we're going on.
Absolutely.
We're probably going on 3 now. Yeah.
Yep, and she is great. The best. So if you need a good title rep, Tracey is your lady.
There you go.
I will
Thanks,
give
Ryan.
a third.
Everybody, it's like a giant love fest here at Real Estate Radio Denver.
Homestead Love Fest.
Oh my gosh.
But just knowing the importance of title insurance. I mean, really, what that's about is just making sure that when you buy that property, that it's owned free and clear for you, and that there are no liens on the property prior to your ownership of it. So it is something that you should take seriously, and please never hesitate to ask. So.
And Tom,
is that important? That you really own the property?
I don't know.
Tom, you can probably attest to having title issues at the closing table.
Yeah, there's always a lot of horror stories, but
so you want to make sure.
We digress.
Yep.
So anyway, Tara, I wanted to go back to what you were saying about the market and that increase in value, because those numbers are staggering.
They are.
And I think you said a 20%?
20%
jump year to year.
And actually, I have a little chart here as well. And I think probably...
Just hold this chart up to the microphone so everybody can see it.
It's
in black and white.
TV.
No, that doesn't work that well.
Anyway, one of the things that I think is interesting about... that we have more equity in our homes is that I think the biggest surprise of 2013 is going to be the return of the move-up buyer.
Yes.
And the move-up seller.
Well, you know what? I have been telling that story for a year now that, gosh, this is the time. Don't worry about, what your existing home is. Make that move up now and ride that value. This is such a great time to buy that dream home.
It really is.
Oh, because those have not fully recovered yet. And what would you say above that price point where maybe you're still getting a higher value? I think, the 200 to 300 range is there, and you get up above 5, 6, 7. Are we?
I think it's actually affecting the luxury market as well.
Oh, absolutely.
I really believe that, the luxury market had been a little stagnant there for a while, and because people weren't moving up and they didn't feel that they didn't have the equity. Over the past several years, they've had negative equity and they haven't felt like they could, really move into the kind of lifestyle that they dreamed about. So I think that as the prices recover, more and more sellers may realize that this is their greatest opportunity to move. And it's an important sign of a healthy and sustainable recovery as the increased housing is driven by these move-up buying and selling.
Yeah, and I think that luxury market has not recovered to the level that the $300,000 and $400,000 market has.
No, not at all.
So there's still bargains to be had in that marketplace, and they aren't falling off trees. But I think if you look at the prices in that price point compared to what rebuild values are, those are some values in that luxury market, and if you can get reasonable money out of your $400,000 home or $300,000 home to make that move up and really have that home you've been dreaming of, this is such a great time to do that.
It
Rates
really
are still a bargain. Mm-hmm. They aren't as low as they were, but they're a bargain. It's a great time.
Right, and you and I have been in the business long enough that we've seen rates at 17.5%. The very first house I bought was 17.5%.
My stomach hurt.
And there were times
and you were
where
glad to have it.
I was glad to have it.
Oh my
and
gosh.
It's like a Macy's credit card rate.
Yeah. That's insane.
Well, that's why I really tell people, don't worry about where rates are. Rates are at all-time lows right now. Yes, they're higher than they were 6 months ago, but don't worry.
And they're still lower than they were 3 years ago.
Yeah,
So.
Absolutely.
And they're lower now than they're probably going to be a year from now. So
Absolutely.
now's a great time.
Home
Now,
values are low.
Well, and you can buy more, and I think that in certain areas, depending on where your home is located, that $400,000 house that would have been worth $350,000 maybe last year at this time, if it's in a hot area, I mean they're getting over market prices for these homes, and it's a perfect time, for those types of homeowners to move up in the market.
And the building industry too,
Yeah,
just that
that's
price range.
What I was going to ask,
Yeah.
Tara, how's the new builds kind of affecting the market, would you say?
I think it's a positive, healthy sign of recovery that the builders are now building again. I think that it was a very sad state of affairs when
Absolutely.
a lot of our builders were affected by the market, and subsequently the small builders went under.
Yeah.
and I think that question is reverse. It's really, what has the market done for the builders?
Yeah.
Right.
The
allowed them to come
market,
back
the
in.
low inventory has driven people who can't find that home in their price range, excuse me, to go to new builds versus an existing home.
And it's a positive sign. I mean, I love to see new home builders, coming back into the market because it does provide, the buyers with more inventory and more selection.
And it's still good to have a realtor's help when doing a new build, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't do a new build without a builder. Contracts
Without
are very.
without a real estate
realtor.
Without a
agent.
realtor.
I'm sorry.
I definitely not do
Can't
one
build a
without
house
a
without a
builder.
builder.
That'd be tough.
Maybe if you
Without
had
a real estate agent, because that transaction is normally 9 months or so long. And I've done several new builds. The builders drive the contract, but really the agents drive the builder.
Sure.
Right.
And I will tell you that most builders in this marketplace are anxious to have you represented.
Absolutely.
It is not something that they discourage. It costs you as a buyer nothing
Zero.
Yeah.
to be properly represented by
Absolutely.
an independent party real estate agent in that transaction on your side who's looking out for your interests. And you need to do that. Please use a real estate agent to help you with that build negotiation, and through that process, through the paperwork, through everything. It's worth a million times more than the zero it costs you.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So please, use a real estate agent. Let me get you in touch with Tara King to help you with that new build as well. Call the show. Let me put you together with her. 720-515-1818. 720-515-1818, and we'll make that happen. Do we want to switch gears here? You wanted to talk a little bit, or had mentioned maybe some design issues and what's going on in the marketplace. We got a couple minutes left. You mentioned some styles and things that I thought were kind of interesting that are trends in architecture. Are you ready for that, Tara, or should I ask you a different question?
No, I think that's a fun topic. What I wanted to say is that I think it's so interesting, and we just saw in Denver that the Historic Homes Commission did a mid-century modern home tour. And I think that the hit show Mad Men has inspired and sparked new interest in mid-century modern, or the California contemporary style architecture. Okay. Developers in the 50s built a lot of homes in Denver fashioned in the style of Frank Lloyd Wright. Most of them are in the Arapahoe Acres subdivision, and then subsequently Arapahoe Hills. There's several little pockets around Denver where you can find these homes, and they're really hot right now.
And give me an example.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Give me an example of that architecture. So, ranch style home with the contemporary look inside, or
it's a ranch style home, modernist architecture with normally either a flat style roof or minimal pitched roof, carports, very modern clerestory windows inside, typically ranches.
Open concept. Usually.
Concept. I think that they have really come back into play, and a lot of people are remodeling. Remodeling is a really hot item right now as well. I think that certainly driven by buyers, my buyers want to see granite countertops, remodeled kitchens, new appliances, hardwood floors. I really think there is a true value to keep on top of your home.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the Real Estate Radio Denver style update. We haven't done one of those before, so I kind of like it. I want to so thank Tara King Properties for coming in, Ryan Mathisen with Colorado Insurance, and Tracey Throop with Homestead Title. It's been a great show, and we will see you next week right here on News Talk 710 KNUS. Thanks so much.